Okay, so if I want to create the 10 number of integer elements, then how we can define? We just have to use int a equals to 10, and after that we have to define int b equals to 20. Okay, till this process we have to follow until 100 will not come, like this. Int d is equals to 100. Okay, like this way we have to create, but every time what we are doing, we are creating some different variable and we are storing the value. Okay, so this is not a good thing, and what we need, we are needing the same integer value. Here we are needing the 10, 20 and 100. Okay, so what is this? This is the integer value only, no? So we can simply use the array. So first of all, when we are using the array, like consider this one is my array, so it will store the continuous memory. Okay, it will store the continuous memory location. So first of all it will store the 10, later continuously it will store the 20, and at the last it will store the 100. So continuously it is storing the value. Okay, and this one is the say one memory only. Okay, and inside this memory we have separated the element by partitioning this memory into some different pieces. Like this one is our one memory, and we have divided this memory into 3 parts, and we have stored the elements, and these elements are the integer types of. Okay, but if you want to define, like instead of integer, if you want to define the float, it won't possible, because array only accept the integer, array only accept the similar data types. If you want to create the object of the integer, then you can only create the integer elements. Okay, if you want to store the float, then you can just simply create the full float only. Okay, and another thing, so here I have used the 10, 20 and the 100. This is nothing but the objects. We can also call as an element in our array. In our Java, array is also called as an object. Here you see, array is an object that hold a fixed number of values, okay, of a homogeneous or the similar data types. Similar data types, that means 10, 20, 100 are all of these things are the integer, or this homogeneous, that means the same similar data types. Okay, and it is an object, we knows that, or you can say it's just simple a data structure where we store the similar element. Okay, so for storing the similar element, like if I have a float, like this is a 10.20, 30.40, this is the float value. Lot of float value if you want to store, like a salary. Consider now you want to store the salary in some one memory, then for that we have to create the array. Then you can simply store it 10.20 and 30.40. Yeah, so this is the thing. After that, the length of the array is assigned when the array is created. Okay, so now here consider, now I have created one array. Okay, here I have created the array. So what is the value of this array? What is the size of this array? That is 0 and the 1. Okay, but when we try to calculate or manipulate the size, so we will calculate from the 1. This is 1 and this is 2. So what is the size? 2 is the size of our array. So when we have created the array, that time we have defined the size as well. Okay, so length of the array is assigned when the array is created. When I have created this array, that time I know that here we have a 2 values only. So this is the size, or you can say this is the length of our array. Okay, and after you create the array, the length or the size is fixed, we cannot change it. Okay, so by using some of the code, if you are trying to change the 3, it won't possible. Like if you are trying to add some different value, it won't possible. Okay, no. And here now I'll tell you, this one is our example. Like this way we can create our array. Okay, so first of all, here I am just creating the array of integer. Okay, only integer array I am creating, so that's why here I have defined the int, later that a, that means this one is the name of your array. So when your memory will create, how you can call this element, like 10, 20 and 30 is there, so how you can call? By this all the element is present inside your a variable, that means inside this array. So okay, so you can call this element by using this a. Okay, and after that whenever you are seeing this off, this represent the array, it has represent the array. So this is our normal variable, and inside, if in front of this variable if we have added this size, that means consider this one is your array. Okay, and the another thing, here we have a equals to and the new. Why we use the new? For creating the object. Whenever you are seeing a new somewhere, that means consider you are creating the object. So I have already told you, array is also known as an object. Why? Because we are creating the array by using this new keyword. So this is also called as an object. Okay, and what is the size? Here we have to use the int, and inside this of we have to define the size. In this way we can create our array. Okay, so this is the size. Now how it will create? Okay, so it will create like this. Now consider here it is a size. What is the size? 6. Okay, and array is a exclusive, that means 6 minus 1. It will automatically decrease one value, okay, by the size. So that's why it is starting from the 0 and it will end to 5, that is 6. Okay, this is the thing. So first of all, it will start from the 0th index. It will start from the 0th index. That always keep in mind, computer's memory start from the 0th index. Okay, no, so that's why I have written the 0. Why we are using the index? If you want to retrieve some value, okay, or you want to sort some value, so based on the index we can sort it. Okay, we can take the help from the index and we can easily sort the element. If you want to retrieve, by using the index we can easily retrieve. So that's why we are using the index. So first of all, here inside this we have only created the memory, but we haven't assigned anything. Okay, no, so by default 0 will assign to a 0 index. 1 in the 1th index it will assign the 0. Okay, 0, 2, 3, 4, 0 and 0, and here we have a 5, here also 0. So when you are not assigning anything, by default it will assign the 0. Inside this it will allocate the 0, but when you are adding some value inside the 0 index, then it will store the value inside this. Okay, we'll see how we can store it. Okay, so let it be about this. Now here you see this 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and the 60. These are the elements in an array. These are nothing but our elements, and each element have the specific index. So first element have the 0th index and so on. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah. So now we will see now the features of an array. So we know that array is represented by using the square bracket. First one. Second, it will start from the 0th index. So consider now you have one array. So it will always start from the 0th index and it will go till the n minus 1. N is nothing but your size of your array. So if it is a 6, then 6 minus 1 is equals to 5. Okay, this is the second. And after that we know that array are the object. Okay, so it will store in a heap memory. We have a inside our JVM we have a lot of memories. Okay, so our objects and the array store inside our heap memory. Inside this memory our object is stored. Okay, and after that now I'll tell you here we have one class that is array. We have one class that is array, and what is the parent class of this array? That is object. Okay, we have one class that is object class. So this is the parent class of all the classes in your Java. Okay, so this is the thing that is object, and after that it has always created at the runtime. Our array is created at the runtime, and later that if you want to find out the length, like consider now you have created one array. Consider int a, this is my array, and here I am just using equals to new, and here again I am using int, and inside this I am just defining the size, that is 6. Consider 6 size I have defined. Okay, maybe some of the array that some different developer had created and we don't know the size. Okay, yeah, So consider this is the developer A. This developer A has created this, and we are developer 2. Okay, we are developer 2, and we don't know the size of this array. So how we can find out the size of this array? So you can just simply use a dot length. By using a dot length, we can easily find the size of the array. So now what is the size? That is 6. This is the thing. After that, it has a lot of advantages and it has a lot of drawback as well. Okay, the first thing, all this element like 10, 20, 30, 40, all this element is storing only the single variable. By using this single variable, we can easily access this 10, 20, 30 and 40. Like how we can access it? So we know that where is this 10 stored? On the 0th index, 20, 1, 2 and the 3. So how we can access? By using the same variable. So you can just simply use a of 0. Now you will get the 10. When you are using a of 3, then you will get the 40. Okay, when you are using a of 2, then you will get the 30. So like this way, by using the same variable, we are getting all this element. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, and after that, if you want to get only this 30, we can easily sort it. If you want to retrieve only this 30, then you can just simply use a of 2. Now you will get the 20. So this is the second one. And our array, this is the array are using for creating the data structure. Like in the linked list, we have uses the array. Okay, and in the stack as well, in queue, trees and the graph, we have uses the array for creating this data structures. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, primitive types to a wrapper class object conversion will not happen, so it is so fast. Like now I'll tell you, Java is 99% object oriented, 99%. Okay, but still this 1% is not object oriented. Why? Because of primitive data types. Here we have a primitive type. What does it mean by the primitive? So everything in Java have a class. Okay, we have created the class. Like if I want to use the array, for that array they have already created the array class. Okay, if I want to use the string, they have created the string. Okay, we can simply use this string. They have written all the predefined methods and the variable, we can simply use it. But the thing is, in some cases we have a integer. See, here we have a I small and it is not a class. So that means this one is not a object oriented. It's just the same, like here we have a float, double we have all of this thing in a small. So these are the primitive data types, and because of this, Java is not pure object oriented programming language. So there is not a conversation between int. See, for executing this primitive, we have to convert from this primitive to a wrapper classes. That means they have created the wrapper classes for this integer. So how they have created? Like this, integer, like this they have created. So there is not a conversion between this primitive data type to this wrapper class. It will directly execute. So this is the advantages. After that, here we have a lot of drawback, like a fixed size. Okay, consider now here this is the A array, and here I am defining 10, 20 and 30. Okay, and if I here first of all I have defined, and later in the future if I want to change the value, okay, so this is the 0, this is 1 and this is 2, and in future A of 3 I am just trying to add the 40. Okay, in the A of 3 what I am trying, I am just trying to add the 40, so it will throws the array index out of the bound exception. It will throw the exception. Why? Because of we don't have the memory, we don't have the index 3, and still you are trying to add it. So it will not create this memory. It is not a dynamic, it is static. Okay, it has a fixed size, so it will not increase it. So this is the drawback. Okay, memory wastage. Why it has memory wastage? Like consider here we have created 10, 20 and 30. Okay, and in future we have deleted this 20. Okay, so that means 10 and 30 is still remaining. and here we have a 0. If it is not there anything, then it will store the 0. But inside this one we don't have any value. If you want to store any value, but we don't have. Okay, so this is the memory wastage. We have to sort this value and we have to store the value later. But here still the 0 inside this one index we don't have anything. So by default it will store the 0 index, and this memory is wastage. Okay, strongly type, we know that why it is a strongly type. So here you see it will only allow you to store the homogeneous or the similar data types. Okay, if you try to add here inside it, if you try to add the float value, here we have an integer, and inside this integer if you are trying to add the float value, it will not allow to add. Like, why? It is a strongly type. Okay, but in future in some cases we need to add some different data types. Okay, not even the integer, we have to add the string, character and the float, or the salary, that means the float. Okay, so for that we need some these types of data structure. So you can just simply use the array list. Okay, they have created one concept, that is array list. Here you can easily add the any data types, but in our array we cannot add. Okay, so it's according to a requirement. If you want to use a strongly type only, then you can go with the array. But if you want to store any data types inside this array, then you can simply use this array list. This is the thing. It will reduce the performance. Okay, why? It's a consecutive memory locations, continuously it will store the value, so that's why. And no method. Okay, no method, that means here they have only the length. If you want to find out the length of the array, you can just simply use the length. But if I just want to find out the minimum element from my array, like here this is the array that we have, that is 10, 20 and 30, and from this array I just want to find out the smallest element, then for that we have to write the code. They don't have these types of methods. Like if I want I just want to find out from this A, I just want to find out the minimum element. So they don't have these types of, okay, so they don't have these types of methods. So by using this method we can easily get the minimum element, that is 10. If you want the maximum element, then you can simply use the max and you will get this 30. But they don't provide these types of elements. So these types of methods, so who will provide? So here we have a array list. This array list provide this all the stuffs. Okay, this is the thing. After that, here we have a types of the array, that is a single dimensional, multi-dimensional. Okay, so we'll try to execute it. Now we'll try to create how we can create the array. So first, now here I'm using like int, we have to define the size, that means we have to define the name of the array, and we know that array is represented by the square bracket, so we have to use it. Equals to new, array is an object, so we have to use this new, and again int, and here we have to define the size. So right now I'm just using like a 6. Okay, so here we have defined the size of the array. Okay, so now I just want to assign the value. It's just simply a declaration. Here we have only declare and instantiate it. We have created and we have declared it. But if I want to add the value, before that I'll tell you what inside this. Okay, what inside this array, what value is stored. Now I'll show you. Int I is equals to 0, I less than a. We know that how to find out the length, how to find out the size by using the length. You can just simply use the length. Okay, we got it. After that I plus plus, and you can just simply print the value, that is a of I. So inside this now you will see. Okay, I will print. See, when I am using a of I, that means it will print the element of this array. It will not print the index. But if I am using the I only, okay, if I am using the I, then it will print the index. So here this I is nothing but the index, and whenever I am using the a of I, so it will print the value of this index. Okay, just try to deploy. Here you see now. In the 0th index we have a 0. In the 1 index we have a 0. 2, 3, 4, 5. In the 5 index we have a 0. That means memory has created, index has allocated, but inside this memory we have a 0 value. When we don't have anything inside our index or our array, then automatically 0 value will store. Okay. So now I just want to assign the value. Then how we can assign it? So inside the a of 0, now I want 20. Okay, inside this a of 0, that means in index 0 of this array I just want to store this 20 element. Okay, so in this way you can assign the element to your indexes of your array. So you can just right click, run as Java application. See here, now in the 0th index we have stored the 20. Like that you can store, you can just simply copy this. Okay, so here you can just simply use 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Here you can use 30. Yeah, here we have uses, you can just simply right click now and run it. See, now you are getting this on the 0th index we have a 20 and it's printing the value. Now here we know that it will start our array, it will start from the 0, okay, and it will end n minus 1. So what is the value of our array? That is 6. 6 minus 1 is equals to 5. So our array ends here only. Okay, our array ends in the array of 5 only. But if you try to add the array of 6, then it will throws the exception. Now we will see. Okay, so inside this, now I am just trying to add the hundreds. So it will throws the array index out of the bound. Why? We know that our array is fixed. If you are trying to add more than this, okay, yeah, so if you are trying to add beyond the capacity of this array, then it will throws the array index out of the bound. Right click, run as Java application. See which array index out of the bound exception it has thrown because of this line. Okay, so just remove it. Now again try to run. Right click, run as Java application. Right now it is printing. Okay, so this is the thing, but it is important to assign like this. Like every time we need to define like this, like array of I. Now we have only the 6 value, but consider now we have a more than 1000. So it is important to define like this. There is no need. Instead of that, you can just simply use like this as well. Okay, this is the one way of defining your array. Okay, you can just directly assign the value, you can declare and instantiate it. So how we can do that thing? So for that we have to use the int a of, and you can just simply add the value. Here I am just using a 10, 20, 30, 40 and the 50. Like this way you can just assign it, and here we have printed already. So that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now here we have defined the size as well. So when we have declared our elements, when we have declared our array, that time this size will automatically define it. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and the 4. So now 4 is the size of our array. So how we can see? You can just simply come here and just use system.out.println and just print the size. We know that how we can print the size by using a.length. It will take from the 1, so it will print the size, that is 5. Okay, so it has taken from the 1, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and the 5. So it has printing the 5 is a size, but your memory, your computer will start to pick up from the 0th index. Okay, and it will go till 4. Yeah, so this is the thing. Okay, so we have done like this. Now if I just want to, okay, yeah, okay, this thing is done. Just simply remove it. Okay, now here this for loop we are using it, but they have some different for loop for the array. For the array purpose only, they have created the another for loop that is called as a for each loop. Okay, so how the for each loop will work? So you can just simply see like this. So inside this for each loop, here we have to define one variable, like var I am defining here var, and after that here we have to define the array, and inside this here we have a statements. So now I'll show you. Yeah, first thing, how our for loop will work. So now I'll show you. Okay, so here this is nothing but our statements. Okay, this is called as a for each loop. Okay, so first of all, this one is our array. So we have to write the array at the right hand side, later that column, and here we have to define the variable. So inside this array we know that we have a lot of values, more than one elements we have. So each element will store or each element it's hold by this variable. Okay, so first of all, consider here inside this 0 index we have a 10. So this 10 will go inside this variable. Inside this variable 10 will go, and later that it will print the statement. So if you are printing like system.out.println, and here you are printing this variable, then what it will print? It will print the 10. Okay, it's print this 10. So this individual, each and individual element is held by this variable, and it will print. Like this way our for each loop works. So now we'll see. You can just remove this. Yeah, this is nice. Here we have a defined one array, and each, like first of all, this is the 10. Okay, this 10 will go inside this variable, and later that we will print this 10. After that it will automatically increase by the 1. That means 0 plus 1, it will go to this 20, and later that this 20 will go inside this variable, and it will execute it. Okay, we don't need to be increment or decrements here. Okay, so it will automatically do these things. Okay, so again it will increase this 30, 40 and the 50. This is the thing, and you can just simply use here var. Just try to deploy it. Sorry, try to run. Now we are getting the value. So first of all, it is printing the size. So I'm just simply removing. Again, just try to run it. Now it is printing the 10, 20, 30, 40. So what it's doing is, first this array value it has allocating to this var first value only, that is 0, and it is printing this. Again it will go, okay, because this condition is not false, it will go till this array last element. Okay, and it will allocate it will assign all this individual value to this variable, and it will print. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, so now the thing is, now if I want to calculate the minimum, like consider, okay, here like we have the elements. Consider we have the elements like 33. Okay, here you see 33, and here I have a 3, 4 and 5 I have. Okay, so which one is the smallest element here? That is 3. I just want to do these things by using a programmatically. So how we can do that thing? So we have to store this all the element inside one array. You can use any data structure, but right now I'm just taking the array example, so I'm just using the array. Okay, so you can just simply add this element inside one array. So here I'm just using int a, and inside this I'm just adding this element, that is 33, 3, 4 and the 5. Okay, we have done, that is the first thing. Later I'm just using one method, and this method will give you the smallest element. Okay, so here I'm creating one method. So I don't want to create the object, so you can just simply create the method like this, static void, and here I'm just using the min. That means I'm creating the method, and here I'm passing the array. So what I'm telling is, you can also pass the array inside your method only. Okay, inside your method you can also pass the variable. Okay, so you can just simply, how we can pass? So for that we have to define the array here. Okay, this is the array we have to define from here. Okay, so I have defined. So whenever from whenever we are calling, like consider this is the static method, so we don't need to create the object, we can easily call. Okay, so here I am calling, and inside this you have to pass this array. This is the array we have to pass inside this. Okay, this is the thing that I have done. That means inside this main I am passing one array, and inside this array we have this element. So this element, it is going to this array. Okay, because of this is the one method, and inside this method we have one array, and the same thing we are doing inside this main, we are passing one array that is integer, and this one is also integer. Okay, this thing is done. Now here we have to write the logic. What I am saying is this minimum will return the minimum element. So for that, otherwise this minimum will calculating the minimum elements. So we have to write some logic inside this. Okay, so we know that we got the elements. So I am just using one. I am just creating one min element. Okay, here I am creating one variable that is min, and inside this I am just storing one 0th index. So this is the 33. That means this is the entire array where it has gone. It has gone inside this array. Yeah, that means this is the value is also gone. Okay, and from this value, from this 33, that is a 0th index, 3 that is a 1, here we have a 4 that is 2, and 5 is a 3. Okay, so this 33, now I just want this first element. Okay, this first element I'll compare with this. Okay, which one is the smallest? Okay, so for that we need this element. So I just got it, array of 0, that means array of 0, that means this 33, we got it, and we are storing this 33 inside this min. Okay, inside this min we are storing this 33. Now I am just iterating one for loop. Like we have to compare automatically. All of these things we have to compare the automatically. For that we have to use the for loop. We will not calculate individually one by one. Okay, so you can just simply use the for loop, and int I is equals to 1. This time what I have done, like 0 we already got it, no, so that's why I have start from the 1. So this 0 will compare with this 1. Okay, later I less than is equals to, we knows that array dot length. Okay, and I plus plus. Okay, you just come here and you can just write your own logic inside this. Okay, so here inside this, now what I want, so I am just simply calculating. Okay, I am just simply comparing inside the if. So if this my mean, okay, this is a mean, that means the 33. If this 33 is greater than this array of I, here I have used the array of I, that means array of I, that means the 3. This mean is 33 and array of I is nothing but our 3. Okay, so array of I is nothing but our 3. So if this 33 is greater than this 3, then you can simply switch it. Okay, switch it, that means we can just simply add this 3 inside our mean. So what I am doing inside this mean, I am just simply adding the array of I. Okay, so this is the array of I, this is the array of I am just simply adding inside this mean, and later that, okay, so now inside this mean what we have a 3. Why? Because of we have added this array of I, that means the 3. Okay, this 3 I have added inside this mean, that means this 33 will override now, and inside this 33 3 will add, and later that we know that if this for loop will increment automatically, so this for loop will increase from increase by 1, so it will go to this 2. Later that this 0 is nothing but the 3, we have changed from 33 to 3. Okay, so this 3 will compare with 4. We know that this condition is false. Why? Because of this 3 is not greater than 4. So later that this for loop will increase again, from right now it will increase 2 plus 1, so it will go to 3. Okay, so later that again it will compare this 3 is not greater than the 5. Okay, so it will return the 3 only. So we got the answer. So from this 33 and 3 and 4 and 5, 3 is the smallest value. Okay, so we'll try to code it. Okay, so here I am just simply define. You can just define the array value, that is 33, 3, 4 and 5. This is the value that I have defined it. Now I am just creating one method. We cannot create the method inside the main methods, so that's why I am just creating here static void a min. Okay, and here you can just simply use the array. Here we have uses the array as well. Yeah, and you can just simply call this min, and you can pass here array. So I have passed the array. See, this is the this is the array that I have created, and this array I have passed inside this main. And when I have called this method, where it will go inside this, on line number 5 it will come in this. Okay, and whatever the array in we have inside this, so it will store all this array inside our this array. Okay, that is now done. Now we have to create the min. Okay, so how we can create the min? By passing the 0th index. So what we have done here, I have created one variable, and inside this variable I have passes the first index, that means 0th index of our array. So this is 33, so it will store the 33 now. Later that when I have passed the 33, we have to iterate the for loop. We got the 0. Now what we need a 1. Int I is equals to 1, I less than array dot length. See, inside this method what we are doing, we are using this array. This is the array we have, so that's why I have uses this array only. Okay, and at the last we have to use I plus plus, so we have to increment the value by 1, so that's why we have to use 1. Okay, this thing is done now. Okay, this one is done. Now here we have to write our logic, so that this 1 is nothing but the 3. This 1 is nothing but the 3. When I am using like that array of I, and what is the value of this I? I is nothing but the 1. We knows that I is nothing but the 1, and whenever I am using the array of I, so it will take the index of this array, that means 3. Okay, so now we are just simply checking like mean. If this mean is greater than the array of I, then you can just simply, there is no need to write the parent this curly braces. Okay, if you have only one statement, then we don't need to write this parenthesis. Okay, so you can just simply directly add it. Like here you can just simply use the mean and array of I. This is the thing that I have uses. So here you see now, so if this mean, that means this 33, so if this 33 is greater than this 3, then you can just simply do one thing. You can just inside this main you can just add the 3. Okay, this is the thing that I have done. So always what I am doing, I am just comparing this minimum value with everyone. Okay, so here this is the thing that is done now, and at the last, once it will done, will print the value like system.out.println, and here we will print the mean. Okay, so what it has happened right now, this 33 is greater than the 3, so this 3, this is the 3, it will assigning to this min, and later this it will go to this for, and again it will increase the value. So from this 3, now from this 3 it will change to this 4, but we know that inside this min we have a 3. This is the 3 we have, and 3 is not greater than this 4. Okay, so now this time this 3 compare with this 4, but this 3 is not greater than the 4, this condition is false, so it will again go to this for loop, and again it will increase 4 to 5. Okay, this 5 will compare again, so here 3 is not greater than the 5, so this condition is false, again it will go to this for loop, and it will check this condition is false, so it will directly come inside this, like it will come outside of this for loop. Okay, so it will go to this statement, that is system.out.println, and it will print this min. Okay, so we'll just try to execute it. Here you see, now we got a 3. So 3 is the minimum of this element. Okay, 3 is the minimum of this element. Is there any difficulty, guys? Okay, so right now I'm just closing this session here only. If you are guys having any issue, just ping me on chat, otherwise you can comment out it. Okay, so we'll connect and we'll solve this issue. Thank you, guys.